The Daylight 60D Mark II from Pixapro seems like a good bargain at under 100 quid, but how does it fare in real world use? Is cheap and cheerful acceptable for a studio light like this one? Hi there, I'm Dean and welcome to Stuff in My Studio, where I'm trying to find good value for money products for creators of all kinds. From reviews to tutorials, lights to keyboards. Hopefully I'll have something on this channel for everyone. Although it's only been a little while since my last light review, I'm still on the hunt for a good value for money key light and saw this puppy on essentialphoto.co.uk in the UK. So a bit of history before we get into the weeds on this one, in case looking at these confuses you. A lot of Pixapro products look very much the same as Godox, and that's because they are actually all made in the same factory. The flashes are apparently all cross-compatible as well, although that's not something I've checked. I don't know if the COB or chip-on-board lights are cross-compatible for remote control, so I fear not. I don't think that's going to be the case, but at least that's where I'm at with this one so far. Pixapro seems to be part of or from Essential Photo in the UK. They offer a 2-year warranty on UK lights and in-house repairs, but also offer repair to out-of-warranty gear. And because it's in the UK, it means that you get a quick turnaround rather than sending something back to China, for instance. By the way, I should probably point out that this isn't sponsored by Pixapro or Essential Photo. It's just good that I think it's good that you should know these sort of details up front, because you can look at these and go, well, hang on, that looks very much like a Godox light. So what's the difference? And yeah, that's it. After the noise of the newer light I recently reviewed, I had an online chat with someone at Essential Photo and asked about the Daylight 60D Mark II. I asked about the noise and was told that it should be fine, and linked to a review on YouTube with a chap that said it was absolutely silent. I immediately ordered the 60D Mark II from Pixapro from essentialphoto.co.uk. Looking at the written reviews, there are a couple more people that say it's silent running, and there's at least a couple that say that that's not the case. Now, mine certainly is not, but we'll come back to that in a bit. Looking at what you get in the box, you get the light, a power cable, an LED cover, a light reflector. You also get a very basic remote, which requires 2 AAA batteries, which aren't included. The Daylight 60D Mark II certainly has some compromises, which is something you'd expect in this price range at that sub £100 level. The body is metal and sturdy, but that's just the central section in the middle there. The Bowens mount at the front and the control panel are both plastic. Even the Bowens release switch at the top there is also made of plastic. I would be careful with regular use, although, this isn't made for on-location shooting. If it's for a home studio or a basic YouTube studio or something, then this should work totally fine. But just be a little bit careful with it. The yoke at the bottom is also plastic with no metal reinforcement again, so don't crank it down when you're tightening things up and gorilla it, and you should be okay. It's a compact design, so a bit shorter than some other studio lights, which is great for a home studio where every inch counts. Something I'm adding to these light reviews is a lux test. Now, this isn't super pro Seconic meter level, but my reason for using this method is to gain an average of a number of readings. And while it may not produce standalone figures, it should produce some level of consistency when I'm looking at reviewing lights in my particular studio. I'll be using an app called the Light Meter from the iOS App Store. You have to create a basic diffuser, which is something like this, but otherwise it seems pretty helpful, even though it looks super ropey. So the Pixapro Daylight 60D Mark II is rated at 5400 lumens. At 1 meter, the lux measurement should be the same. With the reflector on, we get a very respectable 5200, which I think is very, very good. In my tests, it did seem to be flicker free. Here I'm recording at 29.97 frames per second with a shutter speed of 60. And as I run through the different power levels, pay particular attention to the black sound panel to the left, where that fall off will often really highlight any flickering. We're flicker free for normal recording, so I want to check slow motion. Here I run through a number of power levels, recording at 120 frames per second and a shutter speed of 250. And that's always a pain in the bum if you've got a dodgy light. Again though, nice and clean results, which I think are pretty great. So now on for the not so great news. This is loud, and by loud I mean considerably noisier than any other lights that I've tested. Here is the measurement for the newer SL60. And here is the measurement for the newer EX60. And finally, the Pixapro DAYLiGHT 60D Mark II. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to pick this up on the microphone just above me because I have shielded it a little bit, but we'll turn that light on. We are now on. And now we're going when it comes to the fan. That is, without a doubt, the loudest one that I've got. It's way too loud, in my opinion, for a close key light, and the fan seems to be full speed constantly. It doesn't kind of ramp up the more power you're putting through it, so I don't really understand why that's a thing. Even turning it on for the flicker tests, from dead quiet, from cold, you can hear the noise from the onboard mic on the camera. Now, obviously, I'm using a shotgun mic and I've shielded it a little bit, but nonetheless, that's still maybe getting picked up. Not ideal if you want to use it for, say, a live streaming setup or something along those lines. And as I said, you can control the power levels on this, and it's going to have the same volume at 10% as we have turning it all the way up to 100%. This obviously may be a deal breaker for you, but if you're using it as a fill light or a distance away, or if you're using it for photography or B-roll that you're going to put some lovely music over the top of, then you're golden. If not though, be aware that it's not a quiet thing. Like I've said on other reviews, it may just be my unit, but it does seem that some others at least are having the same experience. I don't understand how people can say it's a silent runner though. One thing that is good, that unlike the EX60 review, when you turn the light off via the remote, it does go into standby and actually shuts everything down. Eventually. There you go. Done. Turning it back on, however, and the fan will come straight back. I left it in standby mode overnight to make sure that nothing was running and nothing weird was going to happen, and something that wasn't too obvious, you know. And it stayed silent the entire night and stayed cool, and so when I came in the next day, it turned on with the remote just fine. The fact that you have this standby option that works is great, because if you're mounting this light in a corner of a studio on a stand where it's difficult to turn it on and off, obviously you could use a smart switch or a smart plug or something, but having that standby ability with the remote is very, very useful, although it really is an old school remote control. I mean, Those numbers, though. So, what do I think of this affordable light? Well, I have difficulty getting past the fan noise, but aside from that, it's reasonably well made, although not super tough, so will need some care to be taken about it. You're not going to just be throwing this around and not caring about what happens. It's nice and compact, which is great when using in a small space where every inch counts. The remote does the trick, but definitely feels and looks old-fashioned. It's great that it goes in a true standby mode, though. For under £100, it's pretty good value for money. It's everything apart from a key light that's remotely close to a microphone, in my opinion. I like that it's flicker free and seems to be a powerful little fella for the money. The Pixapro 60D Mark II is a budget light and nothing about it feels any different. If you're okay with that and it works with what you need it for, then go for it. The budget market does seem to be hotting up a little though, so while you may not get better for the money, other products in this category will also have compromises, as obviously this one does. So pay close attention to any of these kind of budget affordable lights because they will compromise in some way. Okay, that's it. Thanks very much for watching. If you found this useful, then please feel free to subscribe and hit the bell. It definitely helps out a small channel like this one, and I have a lot more content planned for the channel. So if you fancy checking out whatever else is on here, or indeed if you want to click the subscribe and the bell, then you can see what's going to be coming up shortly. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Dean. This has been Stuff in My Studio. Have a great day and keep on creating.